Okay, this is one of these problems where you're given information about the assets and liabilities at the beginning of the year, you're given information about the assets and liabilities at the end of the year, and you're also given some other information about investments made by the owner and withdrawals made by the owner. In this case, it's none, and you're supposed to come up with what was the net income. So you're trying to find net income or loss. Um, there's a couple of ways to work these problems, but this is the way I'm going to do it. I'll start with the following. Uh, I will find out what the owner's equity was at the beginning of the year by taking the difference between the assets and the liabilities, and the same thing at the end of the year between the assets and liabilities to find the ending owner's equity. So let's see. Beginning owner's equity is 47,418. Ending owner's equity is 78,540, and so you know that owner's equity went up by that amount of money right there between these two. So let's see what else we've got. Here's something that a student of mine a long time ago showed me as the way they worked it, so I thought, well, you might like this too. The way you can find out any one of these pieces, that is investments that were made by the owner, withdrawals, net income, ending balance of owner's equity, or beginning balance of owner's equity, is to plug in what you know and to solve for the unknown. Notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces here. If you know any 4 of the pieces, you can find the 5th piece. So let's plug in what we know. We know the beginning balance, which was owner's equity, which is 47,418. We know investments were 0 because it said no investments were made. We know that withdrawals were 0 because that says no withdrawals were made. And what we're looking for here is net income. And we know that the beginning balance plus the net income equaled an ending balance of owner's equity of 78,540. So what you can really say here is that everything that happened to owner's equity from the beginning to the end was a result of net income. So let's go a little further. We can take this idea and boil it down a little closer. So we got 47,418 plus net income equals 78,450. So net income is the difference between the 78,450 and the 47,418, which will be 31,122. Let's see, this is problem 3A. Let's go on to 3B. 3B is the same problem, except this time the only change is that the owner withdrew $650 cash per month, and you have to assume it's for a year, for personal use. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to plug in the beginning and ending owner's equity. We're going to use this little student-developed little formula here. Plug in what we know. So we know beginning owner's equity was 47,418. Investments were 0, like they were before. Withdrawals were $7,800. That's 650 times 12 would be $7,800, and it's going to be a minus there. And we're still looking for net income, and we know that the ending owner's equity balance was 78,540. And there's how I got the $7,800. 650 times 12 months will be $7,800. So now let's boil this down a little closer. This 47,418 minus the $7,800 gives us 39,618 plus net income was equal to the ending balance of 78,450. When I took the 47,418, subtracted that 7,800, I got 39,618, and that plus net income equals 78,450. So the difference between the 39,618 and the 78,450 will be net income, which is 38,832 in this example, part B. Let's go on to part C. Part C, same information, except this time The owner made no withdrawals during the year, but made an investment of $45,000. So plug in what we know. Beginning balance of owner's equity is $47,418. The owner did make an investment of $45,000, made no withdrawals. We don't know what net income is, but we know that the ending balance of owner's equity, which is made up of all these pieces, is $78,540. Let's combine all the things on the left side, and we get $92,418 plus net income is equal to $78,450. Whoa, let's stop here for a second. It looks like we don't have net income because we went from $92,418 plus some number equals $78,450. Well, that looks like this number has to be a minus, which means this is not a net income, it's a net loss. So the difference between the $92,418 and the $78,450 is a negative number, so that means we had a loss of the difference, which was $13,968. Okay, we're on to Part D. Part D, same information, plug all that in, plug into our little equation there. This time, the owner withdrew $650 cash per month for personal use and invested additional $25,000. So we got three things going on here, or actually two things. We have a beginning balance, $47,418, plus investments of $25,000, minus withdrawals of $7,800, and when you add net income to that, you end up with an ending balance of owner's equity of $78,540. So let's boil this down a little closer. When you combine all three of these pieces, you get $64,618 plus net income equals $78,450. The difference will be net income, which would be $13,832. And the whole idea of these problems is to see if you understand how or what things change owner's equity. You know, there's only four things that can change owner's equity. In this case, there's only three: investment by the owner, withdrawals by the owner, and when I said four, I originally meant revenues would increase in owner's equity and expenses would decrease them. But if you combine revenues and expenses, you get something called either a net income or a net loss. So that's the end of that problem.